Calvarese joins us for his book that, boy, oh boy, this really resonates with me, especially my travels to Venezuela. His book is called Forgotten America, The Untold Adventures of Venezuela. So, Gio, welcome to the show, and tell the listeners why you wrote this book.
Thank you very much. I'm very happy to be here, Kate. Yes, so I wrote the book I always wanted to write, but at the time, I didn't really know how to start the process. So I thought, what if I could make an impact that at the time really mattered? So my interest actually lie in the students I taught at the time. I taught English as a second language to adult learners, many of whom were from Latin America. The students in my class were obviously Venezuelan, and Venezuela was at a time of economic downfall. We might have heard of the President Chavez, recently passed away at the time. His successor, Maduro, was planning to take office. So not only the Venezuelans, but also the other cultural groups became concerned. So therefore, I took the opportunity to learn and actually travel out there. And from my travels, I created this story called Forgotten America to let people know, hey, what has happened and what continues to happen in Venezuela is important. And I think we all should take some notice into that.
Boy, I so agree with that. I mean, how fascinating that it's in a way that these people that you taught English as a second language, which is so important and is such a pathway to so many to having success in the United States. And then they taught you by what you learned and about Venezuela and what it reminded you of. So tell us some of the stories in the book.
Yeah, so I wanted to kind of intertwine historic events with fiction, but also relevant to situations that we might encounter. So we would expect in the story two characters. One name is Carlos, who is actually from this country, Venezuela, and he travels back to this country with his friend Ezekiel. And Ezekiel isn't new to South America, but new to Venezuela and the situations that have been happening. So he was kind of nervous. So some of the adventures that we see includes how profoundly Carlos is encountered with his past. So every present moment that seems to be important to Carlos, the readers are drawn back to a specific moment in his past that Carlos has not yet really understood or might have forgotten. And one of those times is he starts to remember how he was taken when he was essentially a child into the military. And then at one point, he talks about some of the missions that he had to do, and he didn't really understand what these were or the impact that these missions had until the present. And for Carlos, it's a puzzle that he tries to piece together, and Ezekiel is there trying to understand how connected those events are to the present situation. So in the present situations, we see many protests, how corruption runs rampant, and Ezekiel knows somewhat about these past events, and he is also trying to help Carlos understand this. So it's a piece where the past intersects with the present. And I did it in this way to see how important information is being told and what information might be being left out.
Yeah, wow, I love that. Taking facts, taking history, and then creating the story for this novel. For you, was it fun to go on this adventure, Gio?
Yes, I always wanted to travel. I always like to travel because I think when we broaden our horizon, so to speak, or our way of thinking, it opens us up. We gain a better perspective of who we are, of the situations, and of different people. So I was very excited to travel there, but when each time I traveled, it became a little more daunting because I became more aware of the situations. And I'll give you one example. For example, we were my friend who was my tour guide at the time. We were traveling from Caracas to Maracaibo to see Lake Maracaibo and to see the history there. And we were going to take a plane, but the plane wasn't running at the time, so we had to take a bus. And the bus, that was a interesting journey because at different places there were security checkpoints, and at one of these security checkpoints, the military, I didn't know what was going on. I didn't know the language at the time, but the military actually demanded me to get off the bus and show my passport, and demanded why I was here and asking those questions. And my friend intervened, saying, "Hey, this is very atypical. Why are you guys doing this? I know how you guys operate. You're trying to intimidate my friend. You guys want some money." And so, long story short, I was able to go back on the bus, and my friend had to give them money, and that's what they wanted. So I saw firsthand how frightful the military can be, because I didn't know what was going to happen. And I also saw some of the corruption that is a part of the military or the police at the time.
Yeah, how scary is that? And you get to witness it firsthand. What else did you learn about Venezuela when you were there?
Yeah, so one of the exciting things I learned is that despite all the opposition and all the plights that the Venezuelans were experiencing, they are a very happy, family oriented culture. They're there to support each other. Even the strangers did their part to try to help one another. So I saw this, the feeling of camaraderie, of solidarity, of family being there. So I witnessed, even in the purest form, of how unfortunate situations can be, such as poverty running rampant, these lines, people have to wait, regulation of food at certain points of the week. Certain groups of people can only get certain amount of food, and it was dictated by this regulation law that they had. Despite that, they tried to come together to be there. And despite the corruption I saw from the government, the common people, the everyday people, were very welcoming and friendly and happy to have people outside the country to explore how cultured and how majestic the country actually is, despite, again, what has been going on.
What do you hope people take away from reading your book, Forgotten America, The Untold Adventures of Venezuela, which you can get on Barnes & Noble or Amazon or wherever great books are sold?
I wanted so I created a story in a way to try to interconnect how the past could be relevant to our present situations. And I did that to nudge readers into a direction of being aware to ourselves, to our situations, to the situations that happen elsewhere, and to others. This might mean not just reading one newsreel or listening to one podcast, but about understanding what is being told, what is being left out.
Perfect place to end this. Gio Calvarese, thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you for having me, Kate.